Welcome back. A family in the U.S. is under fire from Russian authorities after trying to send their adopted Russian son back to Russia by himself, a move that has prompted Russia's foreign minister to freeze all future adoptions to U.S. families. Mira Ribin is the author of the book, The Stork Market, America's multi-billion-dollar unregulated adoption industry. She joins us now from our New York studio. Now, we're hearing from the Russian foreign minister that until the U.S. changes their regulations about these adoptions, Russia's not going to adopt Russian children to U.S. families. And I want to know if you think that this is justified, and if so, if you can talk about where and why the U.S. regulations are falling short.
I think it's quite justified. The Russian government asked the United States in the year 2000 to follow up on adoptions and report back at 6 months, 1 year, and 2 years, and they haven't done that. It's very difficult to get those kinds of regulations in place here in the United States.
Why is that?
Well, it's because adoptions, for the most part, are privatized and entrepreneurial. This is a capitalistic society. Adoption agencies are businesses. They are in the business of making money by redistributing children. And they are more concerned, unfortunately, in many cases, these agencies are much more concerned about their bottom line and just seeing a child transferred from one family to another so they can collect a fee than they are for the welfare of the child.
In that situation, who stands to benefit more, Russian orphanages or U.S. agencies? Because we saw in this case, the mother did allege that the adoption agency did not represent this boy's situation accurately and seemed to indicate that she kind of felt duped. So I'm just curious, you know, who benefits more from these adoptions?
It's hard to say who benefits more. There's a lot of money in these adoptions. Americans are paying, on average, $40,000 for each child. Now, how much of that money stays at the agencies here in this country? I didn't even hear anything about her dealing with any agency within the states. The reports that I read, she's relating the story as if she just went to Russia and got this child from an orphanage. Which seems highly strange. I don't know. There are a lot of loopholes and a lot of problems. The accusations that she is making about not enough information and not enough truthful information about the physical and psychological health of the child, this is echoed by many Americans who adopt children from all over the world, but particularly from Eastern Europe and from Russia. That they're not getting accurate enough medical information to make an informed decision. And that's something that needs to be looked into as well on the part of the Russian government needs to regulate that aspect of it.
Okay, so it sounds like you think both sides... Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. It sounds like you think both sides need to make concessions, but I think that the perception is that these international adoptions are very stringent. So can you kind of show us how they're not and where these U.S. regulations, and you mentioned Russian regulations too, are falling short?
That's why the word unregulated is in the title of my book. There's a lack of regulations all over on these adoptions, things that are taking place very slipshod. The fact that 19 children adopted by Americans from Russia since 1996, 19 of these adoptions have gone very, very bad in one way or another. Children have been horribly physically, sexually abused, emotionally abused, beaten, burned, you name it. They've been murdered. This child, this most recent case of Artyom Savalev, he's actually probably luckier than some of the others that he was just sent back and not abused by his adoptive mother, who was disappointed with him and felt he was not as represented to her.
That's right, and we saw that case.
These are all problems.
That's right. We saw that case several months ago when a child was actually killed, a Russian adopted child. So obviously these cases are so tragic. You know, meanwhile, there's 300,000 children in orphanages in Russia, so a crisis going on kind of in either way that you look at it. I want to thank you for giving us your expertise on this subject.